Hi everybody. I am so excited today to do another alumni video with my friend here, Kirk. And I think, Kirk, I know you live in Tahoe. I'm used to Tahoe being in California, but you're on the other side, right?
Yeah, I'm on the Nevada side of Lake Tahoe.
Nevada, that's right.
One third of Lake Tahoe is in Nevada. So
Right. Yeah, it's such a beautiful part of the world. And we met about a year ago. I remember your wife is a three principles practitioner, and she suggested we meet. So could you tell everybody? You want to tell how and why she thought it was a good idea for you and I to start talking?
yeah, well, I had a spinal fusion, and the spinal fusion went well, but we got a puppy when I was recovering, and I got Giardia from the puppy. The pandemic hit, and I just went downhill.
Right.
Got super stressed out,
Mm-hmm.
and all the medication I got off, I went back on, and this was persisting. And so I was on 12 medications plus three
Wow.
forms of THC to manage not just pain, but also allergy symptoms. Um, and I I'd gotten to a point where I'd seen doctors at the Mayo Clinic. I'd gone 3 times, and half the doctors said, "Well, you need to get off this nasal spray and this decongestant."
Wow.
And so after coming back from the third time, I was like, I think to do that, I need to get off the pain medications.
Right.
So I started the process of getting off those 12 medications. And um, by the time I saw Hana for the first time, I had gotten off all the pain meds, and I was sleeping 30 minutes a night.
Wow.
Just absolute miserable, uncomfortable. Um, and my wife goes, "Hey, if I can find a chronic pain coach, would you use it?" Like, sure, whatever, anything. Like, I'll try anything.
Right.
Um, so anyway, so she set up the appointment, and the first appointment, Lindsay had to be there with me. My wife had to be
Right.
present to help me because I was just so incapable of taking care of things at that point.
Right. I remember.
So, um, but yeah, so that was my path to Hana and recovery.
Right.
Because I think people ask like, what changed? Like, how did you get out of that? And said, well, there's 3 things that needed to happen. I needed off those medications, which I also learned that I was having allergic reactions to the THC.
Right.
Um, then I had a couple posture things I needed to correct. The pain medications were masking those. But the thing that tied it all together was my thinking. How much I was constantly thinking about the pain and the suffering.
Right.
It was just miserable. I couldn't think of anything but the discomfort I was in. And Hana helped me get out of that. She's allowed me to get my life back.
Well, I, I thank you for your honesty. And, it's like, I remember when we first met, there were tears and, your wife was there with you. But it's weird. I knew that you could get well. I didn't, I'm not a doctor, as you know, and and I don't have like, a crystal ball or anything, but everything you were describing it seemed like it just gotten you into a very dark place of
Right.
and that kind of just I know having been in chronic pain for many years, it's so exhausting, and the fatigue that comes with it, with trying and to get through that kind of through the pain and through the foggy thinking that comes with it. So it's just amazing how far you've come since then. I that's why I wanted to do this video, because it's been incredible. You're watching. I feel like I've had a front row seat in your journey, out of that darkness.
Right. You definitely have. And I mean, I just popped in my head that, like, I don't know, a week or two into us working together, I'm messaging you in the middle of the night. horrible night. I can't get to sleep, but my shoulders are so tight. And you just said something like, your chronic thinking about the pain in your shoulders is not allowing you to sleep. And it clicked right then. I was like, oh, I could feel my shoulders relax some. And, I went from sleeping 30 minutes a night to 2.5 hours that night, which still not good sleep, but amazing when you've only slept 30 minutes for a number of nights before. So.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like, you were sleeping 2 hours and then you're sleeping 3 hours. And it was just so good to see progress. Like you said, even though like 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night is still not sufficient, but we're making progress. And that produces hope. And I think that's, like we were looking in the right direction. And kind of every time we would meet, finding out all those blind spots and old ideas that were, standing in the way of you being back in touch with your well-being. And so you mentioned shoulders, you mentioned sleep. I remember there's been quite a lot of talk about food as well. Could you talk a little bit maybe about the food allergies and how that was for you?
Yeah, well, long ago I learned that I had issues with dairy. And so I went off cow dairy. I went off all dairy. And I stopped getting so sick.
Yeah.
And then, I still had issues and allergies and things. And my sister said, oh, well, I have all these food issues. So like I started to pick up her food issues as she was suggesting I would collect them. And now, but it just got to the point with the pain and suffering that I was in that I started reacting, I don't know, conscious or subconsciously just to everything that I was eating. Chicken, steak, like things I eat regularly, potatoes, like my mouth would get irritated, like just felt like somebody took sandpaper to it. I get super stuffed up. So I went on this rotation diet that was crazy making. What I ate on day one, I could not eat again until day 4. And so day 2, day 5, and I would eat the same like 3 things for months, just trying to gain some kind of control over my life. And, my work with Hana helped to see that I could let go of those things and I would be fine. It wasn't a quick process with the food. The food was harder than the pain. But with their help, a few months later, I got off that diet. I started eating things again. And, I had some faltering, like it wasn't a smooth path. Like I would go back and Lana would have to remind me, like, well, you did fine with this 2 weeks ago. What's wrong with it now? Oh, yeah, there's not anything wrong with it. And even just recently, I've added soy back into my diet. I haven't eaten soy for probably 5+ years.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, I have absolutely no problem with soy. Why was I so worried and overthinking this when I could just enjoy things that have soy? So,
and I think that's really the key to this, that when you just said overthinking and worrying, when we're overthinking and worrying things, how that compromises the immune system and our digestive system. When we're in that chronic state of stress, then our brain thinks we're in danger and it starts to shut down, our digestive systems and our immune systems. And then things that were totally fine for us to eat, like chicken and potatoes, all those kind of things, that's how they then become problematic. And then if we have a problem with that, and then the worry and stress about that, it just accumulates, right? And just gets worse and worse. So I love how, so many of our conversations have been around, not so much on how to eat better or how to sleep better, but as your thinking has slowed down and, then that has helped the nervous system calm down. And then, you've been able to, get off the meds and get these the food normalized. I mean, it's incredibly inspiring to see that.
Right. Well, and it's beginning to be allergy season up here in Tahoe, and people are complaining about allergies, and I'm like, oh, like my eyes are irritated, and my nose is running a little bit, but like it's not keeping me up at night like it usually does. Like the intensity of my reaction to allergies has come way down too.
Right. Yeah, I had a similar experience. Like my allergies hung around kind of longer than, like my pain went away pretty quickly, and but the allergies hung around for a bit longer. I don't know if that means something to do with the immune system. I don't know, but yeah, it's allergy season now here. I'm allergic to olive blossom, and where I live, you can't go for more than a few feet without bumping into an olive tree. And this time a few years ago, my eyes would have been streaming, like coughing and sneezing, and I'd want to rip my head off and stick it in a bucket of cold water. That kind of sinus infections, and pretty much nothing now. I get a little bit of congestion, but it's like, I mean, one of the things I've found very useful is this idea of not having anything on it, like you just kind of hinted at, that we could get a little bit of an itchy eye or a little bit of congestion, and being okay with that, it lets the nervous system know that we're safe, and then there's more healing available. Yeah
Right. Like I was just telling you earlier, like I've had 3 knee surgeries, and my knee sometimes gets sore, and I can tell there's swelling. The last time I instead of worrying about, oh, what do I have to do to control this, I was just like, oh, I wonder if I just let it go, if it'll correct itself. And a few days later, I was like, oh, my knee feels fine.
I love it. Like to me, that's the wisdom of the body, taking care of you and healing. It's also the principles in action, because like learning not to be afraid of our own experience, learning not to be afraid of pain, that it's just a signal. It's a very useful signal, and it can be, pain is, can be a challenge. But when we don't get frightened by it, then the body can heal, and we can come back to enjoying the things that we like to do. Like I know you like going with the birds. You go birding. So it's so nice that you've been able to get back into doing the things that you love to do. Yeah.
Like I went just a couple of weeks ago, I went bird watching with a friend in Central Park, New York.
Oh, wow.
And we did 6 hours, walked the entire park, 20,000 steps. And, my back was sore, my knee was sore afterwards, but I didn't think about them, and they didn't bother me in sleep. Which sleep is always my biggest barometer of how well I'm doing. So, so anyways, we think that, a year ago, like I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have walked more than a mile.
Wow.
So,
yeah, that's amazing. It's really good to hear. And you told me earlier that you're going to Greece for your holidays. So I'm really excited to hear, you're traveling a long way, and, going to be eating different foods, and, and it's so good to see people get back into life and enjoy these beautiful things. So, right.
To be looking forward to a vacation instead of worrying about, oh, how can I control this and control that so that I can survive while I'm there, as opposed to just going to enjoy the culture and the country.
Yeah. No, I look forward to hearing about it. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your willingness to share with us your journey, because it's been bumpy at times, and I think that's really inspiring for people to see that, to hang in there. The healing is possible. It can happen, and the more we get grounded in these ideas, the more possible that is. So and like I said, I feel like I've had a front row seat in watching your recovery, and I know it's been great for your family too. So thank you very much. I look forward to hearing about your vacation and sharing more of these great insights and healings with you. So thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, for all that you've done, because I would not be here without your help. Western medicine was not giving me the answers that I needed, which the answer was stop thinking so much.
Yeah. That's the answer. Stop thinking so much. Great. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.